Once upon a time, two boys grew up playing hockey in the village of Terrace, British Columbia. One of them went on to play in the National Hockey League. The other became a comedian. Now, one flies planes and coaches youth hockey. The other is still a comedian and owns newsstands. This is their podcast, Enjoying Orange Slices with Jeff and Ian.
Hello, Jeff. We're recording to the cloud. My name's Ian Bagg. Yours is Jeff. The show's called Enjoying Orange Slices. End of May. Stanley Cup playoffs well underway. What did you think of the game last night?
I loved it. I loved Edmonton, Dallas. I've really enjoyed the New York, Florida series too. But you know what I loved about it is I loved how Edmonton. I know that building gets loud up there, but they came out just firing. Right. And then you're like, oh, this could be like if they could have got the third one, but they couldn't get the third one. They get up 2-0. McDavid's flying. Everything's great. The building's going nuts. Next thing you know, it's 3-2 Dallas. It just kind of like shows you what kind of team Dallas has. That
they're scary.
You know what? The Knights got up on them and they slowly turned the water off on the Knights. Colorado was giving them a hard time and they just kept turning the water off, and they go up to Edmonton and the place is bananas, and they find a way to turn the water off. And they were down by 2, got up by 1, tied, and found a way to get it done in regulation, which is crazy. So, I mean, that team, they just they have something about them. And, it's
they definitely have something about them that they're just like, you're like, oh, wow. This is the beginning of the game, and they're already down that bad, and it didn't really phase them. So that's scary. That is scary.
What did Edmonton have? 15, 16 shots in the first period, and late in the third, they'd only had
0
like
and
10
in the second.
Yeah. So, and then Edmonton had a late surge, but I don't know. I mean, I think every team's got its kryptonite. And, these teams have far less kryptonite than the other teams that are knocked out now. But there's little things that Dallas does really, really well, and they make it really hard for you. They take away what you like to do, I guess, is the best way to do it. And they were able to do it as the game went on the other night in Dallas. Edmonton got the first 6 periods of the series. I think Edmonton would be really happy, or there's double overtime in there too. But the first game and a half, Edmonton would have been really happy. And then all of a sudden they started turning the screws to them, and they found a way to get that job done. And then last night, you couldn't ask for a better start than Edmonton had. And before you know it, it's second period, and you think it's going to be a party.
Ridiculous how good that start was. I was like, oh, this is trouble. This is trouble. And they obviously didn't think it was trouble. They just went and took they went and had their orange slices and came back and said, let's play.
Yeah, it was crazy. And but all 4 of these teams, we probably talked about it with Mallard the last 2 weeks. He's a little bit hurt that he's not here today, but we were on the ice yesterday. So yeah.
He's not here today because we have a guest, Emerson Etem is on the show. He's drafted by the Ducks, went to Rangers, Vancouver, and then signed back with the Ducks, and now is on the radio for the Ducks. He's a Long Beach kid, and so we'll have a little talk with him. He's already chirped me. He said, "Ian, you don't have the body of a hockey player." I said, "I have the body of a milk bag." So he's a combat.
I've got the. Hey, back in the day, we used to call it in hockey a goalie body. Like they'd be like, you could tell who the goalies are now. All the goalies are in fantastic shape, but back in the day, they'd be like, "Oh yeah, we could tell he's a goalie. He's got a goalie body." That's so funny. If you ever got told you had a goalie body, that was the ultimate hockey insult. But hey, so that's kind of fun.
I was told I had the body of a coach.
Just stand there with your arms crossed all the time
on my belly.
Oh my God. A quick story about coaches and crossing their arms. old Ken Hitchcock, who I played junior against, played in the minors against, NHL against Hitch. Got the cup in Dallas. Great coach. Did a hell of a job every level he was at. He has said more than once, and I don't think Hitch is going to come back, but you never know. He would stand with his arms crossed like this. So there was a barrier between him and the players. That was his way of building a built-in barrier. So
that's interesting.
I don't know. Yeah, I
thought he had giant nipples and he was hiding them.
Yeah, it's hard to say, but
he's one of those guys that scares you. Like, what does he do once he's out of the arena? Like, what's life out of the arena? Because his whole life is hockey.
Yeah.
So you worry about him when he's not involved in hockey. And right now, he's still a little bit, I guess, some sort of. But
I'm sure he is. But you know what? And you can fact check this all you want. It's probably not true. But I think Hitch was a, like, you could call me out on it, but I do believe back in the day, I remember hearing Hitch was a really good golfer and loved to golf. So now that he's gotten rid of all that stress of the game, which drives a lot of people, like, I think, if he's a big avid golfer, then he's watching games and he's playing golf, and
he's probably got a lot of bank on him too with his career. He's put some money away for sure.
Yeah, do whatever he wants.
Yeah.
I mean, you think about other coaches, like what's Daryl doing now? Daryl's, Sutter, lifelong hockey guy, but he's got the farm, right? I mean, he's a farmer at heart. And
when we say farmer, he breeds bulls is what he does. And apparently he's made more money doing that than he has in hockey. So
I can tell you what.
Fact check it.
Yeah, fact check that too. But I can tell you something you don't have to fact check because I've been a part of it. Is wife's dad has had thoroughbreds forever, race horses, won the Queen's Plate.
Take that.
Flying Duchess won the Queen's Plate. You can fact check that. Yep. And that's probably BS, but I think it's true. One of them did.
This show should be called "We're Gonna Lie to You," and we're gonna tell you how we're lying to you.
Well, we're talking about other stuff today because we got to brush up on our travel info to make sure everyone's getting all the steals and deals out there. But I will say this: when breeding the horses, which one morning it's like, "Hey Jeff, what are you doing?" "I'm having a coffee." "Well, not anymore. Come on, let's go." So I had to lead the mare out there, and of course the stallion, he's out of control. Well, I can only imagine there must be some kind of parameters, because those bulls, I didn't even know how you just turn them out in the field? Like, what do you do, right? Because
you basically take a Honda. You're leading a horny Honda to a smaller car. It's crazy how big they are.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe we can get Daryl on one day, or somebody that is, there's lots of farmers that play hockey professionally. We'll have to see if we can dig into that one. But yeah, so anyways, some guys, but like you look at it, another guy, Kenny Holland, who just eats and breathes hockey. I don't know if he's playing right now on the off days. I doubt it, but Kenny loves it. And these guys set up trips when the season's over. They'll go up to Oregon, play Bandon Dunes. They'll go over to Europe and play over there. These guys all, like Kenny lives in the Okanagan in the off-season valley, so he's playing golf all the time. But that's what I would imagine that
I do have a travel tip today.
What is it?
It is.
Here we go.
So here's a travel tip. So when you have your flight, say you're Air Canada 1454. Text yourself AC 1454, and all that information will come up on your phone.
Really?
Yeah, learned that last night.
Huh. Okay. That's interesting.
Fact check me, get back to me, but I was like, it'll tell you if your plane's late, where it's coming from, and all that information.
Well, there's another site called FlightAware where you can put that in there as well. But I guess
but this one does even better.
Hey, but doesn't Air Canada and these other airlines like Southwest, everybody will do it. They if you put on your initial reservation, if you put your phone number in, and the flight's running behind, don't they send you a text?
No.
Or on Air Canada,
no, I don't know if you know. Airlines are horrible, Jeff. I know you fly
Yeah.
in the front, but when you fly in the back, they don't care about you. They let you know. They let you know. Oh,
Yeah.
I left at 7 a.m. the other morning after I got home from the show at 1 a.m. So picked up 5:30. I tried to sleep on the plane, but the flight attendant was yelling. I don't know why she was so excited at 7 a.m., but she was telling everybody about how she's about to have a day off and how she needed a day off. And she was supposed to fly another leg, but she just canceled that leg and was almost like, really? 5 hours of this? You're going to talk about this for 5 hours? Oh my God. It was fantastic.
Well, you just don't like it when someone else has the microphone. That's basically it. I can't believe you didn't.
She didn't even have the
her.
microphone.
I can't believe you didn't interrupt her like you always do with me.
Oh,
you
and Carrie Ann.
Cab loves it.
I can't even answer because I might interrupt.
Yeah, exactly. It's funny. I didn't even realize it. And Cab's like, Ian, quit being so rude. But I've been a part of the rudeness in Target and Ralph's, which is basically a Save On or a Safeway or Albertsons. It's always a good time.
I interrupted her the other day. Our friend Lisa, she was telling a story about she was telling a story about getting her first colonoscopy, and
oh my God,
and she had bad health insurance at the time, and they weren't going to cover her to be knocked out, right? So they weren't going to cover her, and she's like, well, I don't have the money, so I guess I'll be awake for it. Anyway, she gets to the appointment, and they're about to do it, and she meets the doctors, and she said they're drop dead gorgeous, these doctors. So she whipped out her credit card. I'm going to need to be asleep for this. Anyways, I interrupted Carrie Ann trying to tell the story. Let's go to our guest, shall we? Shall we bring our guest in?
Let's go.
Okay, let's bring our guest in, shall we? Our guest today does not own a shirt, but he does own a hat. Welcome, Emerson. How are you?
Thanks, Bagger, for that nice intro. Yeah, your audience is like, here goes another broke athlete here, living out of his car here. I do have a Tesla. My other car is a Tesla, of course. Happy wife, happy life. I give her that, and I'm in the beater. So whatever.
What is the beater?
And then I wanted to make it's a 2017 Ridgeline. Honda Ridgeline. Yeah, it's not a beater, but it's not, Tesla, but happy wife, happy life. And no, I don't live out of my car.
That's awesome. Good for you. You played hockey. You started in Long Beach.
You wanted
to what? I'm sorry. He's just going to stare at us now.
I wanted to just do as much different as possible from the show we just did. You came on my show. I'm in the Korea studio, shirt on, hat on. And so I wanted to do things a little bit different for your show. So there it is.
You were very serious on your show. You're like, I don't want to, I got, this is my money. I don't want to screw this up. But then as soon as you came on to mine, you're like, balls out. I love it. How many years did you play in the NHL?
Parts of 4 seasons.
And you played a lot. You started junior in Canada, right? That's where you started. You started playing junior in Canada.
I played this. Are you gonna let me talk, Bagger?
No, I'm bad.
No,
bad.
He never does. This is, you know what? Interrupting again. That's what he does. So just start talking over him.
It's your show. I get it's your show, but goddamn, yes. Medicine Hat. I was there for 3 seasons, and I don't know, Ian, like how you feel about Albertans, people from oil country. I think they're the best of the best. They're hardworking. Yes, they got their frackers, they got the oil, roughnecks, they got the oil on their face when they come home. My billet dad, he was always in Fort McMurray, just working the fields there, but best people. I still talk to both of them, both Mark and Marie and my billet family. So for all of you out there, don't know what a billet family, it's like a host family. It's like when exchange students come in, they live at a family. Same thing for hockey. We call it billet family, but host family. So Mark and Marie,
I love it that you tried to give him a shout out, and all of a sudden you just roboted it up. That was great. That was your Tesla saying no to the oil people.
No, I played juniors for 3 years in Medicine Hat. Love my billet family, and you know what? The drinking age is 18 there.
That's right.
Which is great, you know. And what British Columbia? Yeah, it's got to be 19, right?
Yeah, it's 19. It's old people drinking there.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. So drinking age 18. Best of the best country bars. Actually, Ralph was the country bar in town there in Medicine Hat. Oh, we had the win, lose, or draw. We were there having a good old time. Line dancing. I kid you not. I have some. Actually, we talked about childhood trauma last on my episode of my show when Ian was on. But I can remember some of the times our coach just absolutely ripped us a new one for going to Ralph's after a loss. Happened too many times. Win, lose, or draw. Ralphie's. It was a great time. But Medicine Hat, it was awesome. Spent 3 years there. First round pick of the Ducks, and yeah, parts of 4 seasons. Played a little bit with the Rangers. Played a little bit with Vancouver. So yeah.
Hey, Emerson,
go ahead.
Hang on. I want to, because I want to, yeah, there you go. I felt good to interrupt you, Lord Bagg. Hey, Emerson, talk a little bit about an American kid playing in the Western Hockey League, because back in the day, years ago when I played, there was only a couple that filtered in. Now it's probably a lot more prominent. But that's interesting. You're coming from Long Beach, California, up to Medicine Hat, Alberta, where the kind of the tough part of the Western Hockey League, the Eastern Division. Talk about that kind of experience and how you managed that, and people treat you pretty good, or was there a little bit trying to feel you out, or how did that go?
Oh, we were rock stars in town. We really were. I mean, it's the best of the best. It's it's Canada. There's any channel every night. It's going to be hockey on, and it gets your mind just as a hockey player. I mean, there's nothing better when hockey's your life and everything's hockey. Commercials are hockey. It's unbelievable, and that's probably the thing I might miss most about just playing in Canada. Of course, I just mentioned I played with the Canucks there for a short time, and it's so great. That's what I love about Canada is just it's hockey. They live it, they breathe it, and so me. So I played at Shattuck St. Mary for 2 years. I spent my my freshman and sophomore year at a prep school called Shattuck St. Mary's. Sidney Crosby, Nathan McKinnon, the list goes on. Jonathan Taves, Okposo, they all went to Shattuck. So I spent my like I said, or like in Canada, Bagger, you call it grade whatever, right? Grade 9, grade 10. It's weird. I don't call it grade 9, 10. Anyway, freshman, sophomore at Shattuck. And then I played the National Development Program for a year. And then Willie Desjardins, who coached the Kings, he was my coach in Vancouver there. He came to California. I don't know, they drafted me, and my agent at the time, he liked that situation. He thought there was no better fit. So the National Development Program is actually a 2-year commitment. My mom was an Olympian. She wanted me to do the whole USA thing. I'm a patriot. I love this country, but I think just junior hockey was better for me. So I only spent a year at the National Development Program. Like I said, Willie came down to California. We had great talks, and I thought for my draft year, I thought Medicine Hat was the best situation to.
That's awesome.
To just put me in the right spot to get drafted as high as possible, and it certainly did that. I was first round, 29th overall, and went back for two seasons after I got drafted, and won a lot of hockey, partied hard, and it was fun.
You said your mom was an Olympic athlete. What sport was she in?
She was in the she was selected for the 1980, but it was boycotted. So 80 and 84, and of course 84 was in Los Angeles there. So the Marine Stadium right there, Ian. It's made for rowing. I don't think they row. I think they rowed somewhere in LA, but some lake, somewhere in that borders LA. But yeah, she was Olympian, 84, and Pretty cool that I know someone,
What
more specifically a family member.
What's that like though, being the son of an Olympian? Does that make you instantly go directed towards sports? Are you, or is there something else that you're interested in, and you kind of go to sports, or are you always directed to sports as a kid?
Oh, our family was ruthless. I remember, I grew up on Hot Pockets, honestly. Like there was no we never sat down for family dinner. We never, my sister, she swam at a very competitive club called Soka, or no, Nova at Soka. Soka's a school. I don't know. I think it was called Nova, and the Soka, the pool that she was at a university called Soka. But a highly competitive organization for swimming. She went to Cal on a swimming scholarship, and then my brother went to Syracuse on a rowing scholarship. We got a full ride to Syracuse, and my dad rowed at the Navy. That's how my parents met. They met at a meet. I don't know what you call it, a rowing meet. They met at, and the rest is history. So we come from a ruthless sports family. It's we chirped each other. Just I was like, what the hell, rowing? You go back and forth, really? That's all you do? That kind of thing. So we let the chirp fly. What sport's better at the maybe one dinner every 6 months we had. Maybe we just gathered around Christmas. I don't even know. But
I like that. I like that your family's based on water though, but one half is on frozen and the other half is in thawed out water. Thawed out.
There you go. Yeah. And not that Lake Louise water, not that kind of water. Isn't that gorgeous? Ooh.
That's so cold. So cold, nothing colder. Oh, you'd have to wear a shirt going into that water. You'd freeze.
Yeah.
You'd freeze your nipples off there.
Yeah, Ian's veering off there. For those of you that don't know, the Banff, what is it, Lake Louise? Lake Louise is crystal clear. So Instagram popular page, just search Lake Louise when it freezes in the winter. They skate on it. That's where all those the bloggers go out on their skates and blogs. So anyway, cool.
So you're in the NHL. You're how old are you now? How old are you right now?
I'm 31.
So you're 30 young. So you're a very young man. So you're a very, very young man, and you come out of your hockey career, and you end up in broadcasting. Are you directed in that way, or do they just find you fun and they go, hey, you should do this?
I was so lost. I needed a map and a compass after my hockey career. That's how lost I was. Just trying to navigate. Hey, you're traveling. You're taking the flights, and then all of a sudden, it just stops. The paycheck stops. So essentially, I battled some injuries. I was out a full year. I had a scope down on my knee. I had a huge knee hit with Rafi Torres, and that name, Vancouver.
Yeah.
And so that happened in preseason, and then I bounced back, and I ended up training in Vancouver. So a couple of years go by in Anaheim. Get traded to Rangers, but I was feeling my best actually in Vancouver. I had a great end of the year. I was playing with Bo Horvat. Derek Dorsett was playing at an unreal just pace, and right before he had to hang him up with his neck injury there. But I just everything was flowing. It was a young team, great city, just having a blast. And I ended up training in Vancouver, and just needed a change of scenery. I spent my summers in California, specifically at the Original Gold's Gym, training there in Venice Beach, and I needed to be more serious just as far as just temptations, and so I stayed in Vancouver, and the training. I should have probably stayed in California and traded with my longtime trainer Garrett Goodman, and I don't know. The injury started ramping up again, and then I had a cup of coffee in Lugano, played like 5 games there, just shit the bed, and and then I was pretty much I had a PTO with the Kings. Rob Blake, I trained with way back in the day. I was like 13, huge afro. Just I was like standing next to Sean O'Donnell and just Glenn Murray. I mean, some of the names. I was 13 years old, just with a list of Hall of Famers in my same training group. And yeah, Rob Blake, I was able to kind of network through that. And I just texted him, hey, I'm kind of at the end of my rope here. Blake, you give me one last chance. And he gave me a PTO, which is just a professional tryout. Did really well in camp, but knees started swelling up a little bit. And then I was like, you know what, it's weird because you think you're playing at a certain pace, and then you see the video and you're like, oh my gosh, really, the pizza right there at that situation. So anyway, it's there's just a time. People, they run into that time, whether it's 40 years, 1,000+ games, or myself. I think I got 170 something games, and yeah, that was just time for me, and that's fine. I'm more motivated than ever. Love what I'm doing with the Ducks. I'm a businessman. Like I mentioned, hopping on this call, I sold my junior team just recently, but yeah, just business, radio play-by-play with the Anaheim Ducks. I'm loving life right now.
Hey,
That's awesome.
Emerson, hey, let me ask you about, years ago, Kenny Holland, who is the first guy I met in Detroit, said the same thing. He always really worried. He was out with Rod Buskus, an old King, buddy of mine. We were in Vegas with him, and he said he asked how we were doing. And he asked about other players because I don't know if people realize it or not, but a lot of people when they leave the game, just kind of you go into this existence because you're not being told where to go anymore. You're not being told what to do or what time, and you're certainly not getting paid. And people that are still in the game are concerned about it. As you were kind of navigating your way in the kind of listlessness that is after you retire from pro hockey or you leave, who did you reach out to kind of get you headed in the direction you are now? Or what kind of triggered for you to say, hey, I'm pretty good at this, or I have the energy, I'd like to try this? Like kind of, just kind of explain that to us.
Oddly enough, I mean, I didn't reach out to anyone for advice, but my biggest, I guess, adjustment period came when I was done playing, so I hung him up the fall of 2018. I moved to Medicine Hat. My son was born in Vancouver when I was playing there, so our kids from every kid we had from my son on out, we just wanted to be Canadian. I don't know, the free healthcare. I don't know what the hell it was, but anyway, we love Canada. We love Canada that much, honestly, and we moved up to Medicine Hat. We just thought it was probably the cheapest way as we were kind of adjusting to a little bit of normalcy. Probably the cheapest area that we kind of had connections with. I knew a ton of people from my playing days, still close to my host family. So we had a lot of connections there. And oddly enough, Willie Desjardins was starting this his WD Saha, which is a prep, or not a prep school, but a hockey academy that tailors to rural area school children around the Medicine Hat area. So I just thought it'd be fun to kind of spew my knowledge to maybe some rural Canadian players, and it was a blast. I was logged a lot of on ice hours helping those kids. It had enough repetition for myself, doing what I still do, and that's I do small one-on-one sessions, small group sessions, camps during the summer. So I was able to really round out my coaching skills out there on that ice during that time. And then they weren't hiring for coaches. There weren't any teams per se. Now they have teams, but I wanted to get behind the bench. So I was like, I'm going to just put out my resume, everything I've done at the academy, of course, my NHL career, just any coaching position. They had this website called, I don't know, something coaches, where you could put in your resume. Yeah, somethingcoaches.com. That's what it was called. Where you can put in your resume, and just a team out of Montana. I was like, oh my, I don't think I had ever been to Montana, but the Missoula Junior Bruins hired me for their head coach, general manager position. Now, the owner of that team, I'm not going to name names, but because I despise him now. He was the best thing for me. But honestly, like not going to go there. He owes me money, yada, yada, yada. So I'm going to leave it at that. But I got to tell you, what I learned from this guy as far as spreadsheets are concerned, as far as anything, cash flow, profit, loss, mainly spreadsheet. I mean, I am a wizard at spreadsheets solely through this guy. And it was an unbelievable experience learning. I mean, he was, I think, top 4 in the nation in RV sales. So he's a CFO for just a firm out there in Missoula, Montana. And he was great. He was great at what he does. He taught me a lot. And still owes me money, though. So anyway, I'll leave it at that. But yeah, I mean, he really, from a business perspective, I have 0 college experience. And I honestly, through that 1 year of being around him, looking over his shoulder, and just him teaching me everything I know now, I just, I don't know. That was kind of the learning curve. Not that I, called up someone right away, but for sure learning from this guy, it was unbelievable. And I certainly wouldn't be where I am today without that advice and knowledge.
That's really interesting. Have you ever thought about helping guys as they leave their careers? Because, you did the grind, right? So you might be able to help some of these guys miss a couple bumps that you hit.
You know what? Like, I think everyone is looking for a kickback in this. It's quite, I wouldn't say predatorial, but I mean, you when I saw the sum in my bank account after, literally, because it was a lockout year. It was lockout year. I'm, of course, on my entry-level deal, so I'm making league minimum. But after the Game 7, the series with Detroit was over. I only made it 1 round. But after what I made in that half a season, plus the playoffs, I was like, oh, my gosh. Like, and I wasn't prepared for it. Like, no one is, right? I mean, maybe unless you take finance in college, but even student athletes, I don't know how they do it. There's so much going on.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't. So bottom line, to answer your question, long story short, I don't think anyone's ready, and that goes for basketball players. That goes for MLB. Like, it's the lifestyle. So everyone's like, oh my God, you're making so much. Well, you're not portraying per se, but you don't want to show up in the beater. You got to adjust to at least a certain level of standard, which is the standard that costs a lot of money.
But do you think that's something like the union there should be a position in the union, because the guys are paying into that union? Why shouldn't they be helping them transition after they're playing games?
So
playing
the
years?
NHLPA has done a great job over the year with the pension plan. Now,
right.
I'm like, God damn that, 52 can't come soon enough, guys. But it's great. I'm looking at that number. I'm like, okay, I can't cruise control right now, but all right. So, that's good. And I wasn't part of the talks, but that's certainly, I can only imagine what, Bobby Hull, probably making what teachers were making, and 0 pension plan. And I couldn't imagine some of the catastrophes that had happened, probably 60s, 70s, leading up to today. But, no, I think the big change was the pension plan. I think that was a huge step in the right direction. Players are so damn stubborn. Looking back to when I was 19, even my bonus check, getting $3 $90,000 bonus checks, that in itself, that's huge. Where that went, I have no clue, but bottom line, I'm hungrier now than ever, right? So for me, great pension. Yeah, I have enough to purchase a hockey team, right? And I sold that, had a great exit. On to my next business venture, and the Ducks has been great. So I'm sitting, pretty right now. But if you were to say, okay, and they did something at some kind of a rookie showcase seminar. I remember them bringing us in, having an hour, talks. They brought some finance guy in and talked about a little bit of numbers, but not to sway anyone in the index funds or real estate or that. But I think we were sitting in a room probably all stubborn, right? And I don't think 19, 20, that age, I mean, that's tough to sway,
It's
players
the
when
wrong
all they
age.
want to do.
You need to do it with them when as they're older and realizing things, not when they're younger and bulletproof. You know what I mean?
All we wanted to do was score a lot of goals and pop bottles, and that's all we wanted to do.
Yeah.
I think today's game is much different. I think there's a lot less you can get away with. And I'm talking, this was 7, 8 years ago for me, right? So, but I think even within that span, a lot has changed. I don't know. Maybe they're implementing something in, but players are stubborn. People are stubborn. I don't know what the rate of players going broke. 75%. I think when ESPN 30 for 30 came out with that broke documentary, I think it was like 75%. So it's sad. Those are epidemic numbers for sure. But I got to drive. I'm pride. I'm a guy full of pride. I just couldn't let something like that happen. So I'm in a great spot right now. I'm as hungry as ever, and I hope for the best for a lot of these athletes because Alex Hemsky came out and said he was suicidal, while changing his baby at one point. I mean, that shift it hits hard for a lot of players, and I'm just fortunate to have a great wife, Jeanette, who is just has been my rock. We have 2 kids. I have a 7-year-old son and a 4-year-old daughter. So all the pieces are in place to just have a great post career. So I couldn't be happier.
Hey, I think and I know Glenn Healy's running the NHLP now, and I think the PA's kind of thing was, we're gonna help you guys financially, right? So the pension goes back, even back when they were riding around steam engines out there like I was. But I want to ask you, and obviously
sorry
you
to
can
hear
do
that.
more. Yeah, well, and here's the thing. I really think our biggest thing is mental health wise, we could do a lot, and we're learning a lot in all kinds of professions, not just professional sports. But in professional sports, you get a young star, and I mean a really young person, and then they get kicked out in the street. And like you're 31. In hockey, you're a fossil, but in life, they're like, oh my God, he's just a young kid. But moving forward onto where you are now, who do you look at in the business? So you do the Ducks radio. Who do you look at in the business, whether it's your Ducks telecast or broadcast or TNT or ESPN or Sportsnet up in Canada or whoever? Who do you kind of look at and over the years? And I don't know if there's a mentor there for you, but someone you look and go, that's a lot of fun, or I really like the way they go about their business.
Well, Bob Cole, now he's TV and he's play-by-play, so I'm radio and I'm color. But, Bob Cole, I just, Hockey Night in Canada, does it get any better than that? And I've seen a couple things recently with Doc Emmerich. I know these are TV guys. I'm in radio, but, hopefully that comes about and comes into fruition. That's one of my goals. But, I think Bob Cole, I've never had any interactions with him. But he's just a name that I look at some of those past clips. I'm like, these guys are just one of one, right? And I maybe for other sports, I'm not the biggest baseball fan, but Vince Scully, of course, is just a guy that when you hear their voice, okay, that's him, right? And I just think that just takes a special type of energy, a special type of just aroma that is it speaks louder than even what they on the telecast, what they bring. It is just really godlike, and so I mean to answer your question, Bob Cole for sure.
Nice. Esposito in Tampa. That's the best color guy ever of all time.
And shout out to my partner, Steve Carroll. He's our play-by-play guy for the Ducks. He's a legend in his own right. He's been doing it for so long, and a guy who really grinded. I mean, he talks about stories working 5 jobs back in his minor league days. He was a disc jockey at the local pub. He sold advertisements first thing in the morning. I mean, he was like me down there in Missoula, Montana, with the Missoula Junior Bruins, going door to door on my bike, selling these advertisements. It's just it makes you stronger, right?
I love
Yeah.
it. I love your energy. Your energy is awesome. You're a fun person. You bring it. You bring a passion for the game. You obviously have a passion for life. Sadly, you don't have a passion for shirts.
But we're gonna start.
As different as possible. Once again, I wanted to break that potential awkwardness from going from one pod to similar cast right back to back. I didn't know what I was in for, but yeah, it was unnecessary. At this point, it was I could look back.
It's perfect. It's great. We love that you drop by and talk to us, and hopefully you'll drop by and talk to us again. Before we go, I know we talked about this on your podcast. Who do you think is going to win the Stanley Cup?
Well, I'm piggybacking off of you, Dallas Stars.
Dallas Stars. Jeff, what do you think?
Dallas Stars.
Yeah, I like. I mean, I like what, especially after last night. The horses got out of the barn. They got all the horses back in the barn and got back to the way they're playing. Which, I mean, Florida is the closest thing to what Dallas has done, I think. But yeah, really impressed with Dallas. I agree. Yeah.
Wait, hold on. Did the horses leave the barn or they enter the barn?
They got out of the barn, but Dallas, all the Edmonton horses got out of the barn, but Dallas corralled them and put them all back in the barn. They had that 97 horse running around all over, do whatever he want, and they somehow were able to kind of corral everybody and get everything back under control as that game went on. And
the horses are glue. The horses are glue now.
Yeah, I tell you what, they make it like glue out there. I'll tell you, the way they defend, it's crazy, very impressive.
Awesome, buddy. I look forward to having you out to a show in June in Irvine, and if there's anything we can ever do for you, please reach out.
I'm there, and hey, let's grab a beer on Legends.
At Legends. Oh my God, he's a Legends guy. Come on, we got to go to. What's that?
I'll have a shirt on. I'll bring a shirt.
No,
well, we're going to start a GoFundMe for you.
Shirt.
Yeah, we're getting a GoFundMe going for you, Emerson. We're gonna put some money together for you after that. We'll get a shirt for you. We'll get you an Enjoy an Orange Slices shirt for the next visit.
Is this the GoFundMe picture? Is this gonna be the profile picture? Me shirtless in my car. All people are for sure gonna think I'm broke. GoFundMe with this profile pic.
and he's in the clunker too. He doesn't even have the good car. He's been loving the clunker. 2017 Ridgeline. Oh, that's an advertisement right there. This is the advertise. This is the happy Honda guys should come in and help you right now.
I'll bill them. Thanks for having me, guys.
Awesome, bud. Thank you for so much.
Take care. Thanks.
Fun, Jeff, having a nice young man come in with a lot of energy and no shirt.
Oh, yeah, a great build. He's the first guy to come on with no shirt, so I guess we're officially back.
His tattoo looked like he might be a Washington fan. It's got the eagle on it. He's a Capitals fan.
I couldn't tell. I wasn't looking that close, but I'm like, hey, he's fit and good for him. He's 31 years old.
He's fit and having a good time. Hey, you got any shout outs? We got to get going. We got to wrap it up.
We got to wrap it up. You know what? When I'm talking to Emerson, I'm thinking I've got to shout this guy out. I got to shout out. Oh, there, I thought I left. I got to shout out Biz. I'm going to shout out Biz Nasty, Paul Bissonnette, because when I think of Emerson, I think of Biz, and I remember, and I'd love to, we'll have Biz on hopefully one day, but just the energy and the fun, and it comes out and it's infectious. So, hey, a shout out to Biz, because I think Emerson's coming after you, Biz. Better keep it going, because we got a new sheriff in town, and he's doing it the right way. Starting off in the radio, he's going to work his way through the Ducks system, and then who knows where it's going to go. But yeah, that's my shout out this week.
Nice. My shout out is the people of Kelowna, the people of Vancouver, the people of Edmonton, the people of Calgary. I'm coming for you, bitches. That's it.